Hello, how are you, mental health business owners? I count down the time to come live in the group. I'm actually going to check that the tech is working on another device. Yesterday it got blocked out, and I trust you all are having an amazing day. Let me know if you are here. I'm actually going to check that. Let me know if you're here live or in the replay. I'll be honest with you, it's been so amazing hearing in my DMs how you are enjoying the daily trainings and seeing you also show up for yourselves. I am just so grateful when you share around what is working for you and how to transition things, answering the questions, action points, and all of the things. So how are we feeling about the work so far? A lot of this, sometimes we know, but the question is are we actually doing it, and where are we with it? So just remember that the information of the videos each day builds on each other. So as you can independently implement, you can also see a benefit by listening one after the other. So today I'm going to talk about systems that are important for your business and why they are helpful for profit and outside of profit, just saying, right? So I happened to be on the phone with a business owner this morning, and the owner was sharing to me around how she was drowning in business. And she had this hope that this person was coming on, and when the person was coming on to help her, QVXYZ happened, and she did not have a candidate anymore. And then all these heaps of things that happened as a result of that. She took business, she did this, she did that, a whole heap of stops. My heart was bleeding for her listening to it, because you can see the drain, you can see the effect that it took, and so much goodness went into it. However, that is what will happen in business, as it's something that will protect you, if, believe it or not, versus work against you. And what do I mean by that? When we think something happened that we planned and all of these things, and we're holding that control, what really it means is that it wasn't going to work out in another way. And before that person touched any clients, it worked before the practice to not even touch it. And unfortunately, it's lessons that we have to learn. And I can tell you, before our tax team was where it's at today, it took different heaps of layers, just to share a personal experience. When I took on the tax side, it just is a whole different way of thinking, of bringing in people. So I wanted to share that story. So systems. The first system that is really important is a calendar system. And it doesn't really matter what calendar system, as long as you use one. We happen to use the one for our automation that is with our CRM, which is called Go High Level. And it works well because it basically integrates with everything. And it wasn't seamless for a while. However, now, thank God it is working. Now, there are points when I use my Google Calendar, because it does go into Google Calendar, where I use my Google Calendar option to add appointments in addition to that. I kind of have this system of what I use. However, these appointments, the important to it of working through a system is that it gives the person a chance to look at their calendar and make sure that they can attend, especially in the mental health industry, where you're seeing clients back to back. Chances are when you do 12:30, 1:30, or so on, you're going to be a few minutes late in between each session. So what I usually say is that when you set up these appointments, you write down within a few minutes, so that people know, because or else a lot of people do work with 1 o'clock is 1 o'clock and so on. So I wanted to share that. when we text around appointments versus relying on the system to work for us, it starts to break personal boundaries around how things happen. I know before I committed to a calendar system, I was, for the link to be how people do it versus me doing all the appointments, I was accommodating all sorts of times that I was led to basically burn out. So I set the calendar up in a way that it was personal boundaries for myself and obviously for my family. The next one is some type of CRM. Now, there's basic ones and there's more advanced ones. How we keep track of our leads or our contacts is very, very important. As I told you before, we use Go High Level. There are options like Infusionsoft, there's Constant Contact, there's MailChimp, basically, on pricing levels and what they offer. Now, sometimes you just have to have a place of where you begin, and then you can always go into others. We've used different ones before this. However, now for what Go High Level offers is what we use. Now, it is a beast. It is robust. And honestly, unless you're willing to pay for help with the program, I don't suggest starting there. I suggest starting with something like MailChimp or like Pipedrive even. Pipedrive actually, honestly, is ideal because it's pretty affordable, and it's not necessarily a beast. It's really simple, where you can put your contacts in. It integrates with your calendar. You can put notes with your leads and things of that nature. And when you have that, you have a place to go, and then chances are you can download the app if you want it on your phone or your iPad, and then that becomes a place to go of a system. So far we talked about a calendar, we talked about a CRM so that you can have your leads in a place. I'll be honest with you, sometimes with clients, if I feel that a program is too much for them, I will tell them just open up an Excel document. Why? Because if you're not in the system of actually keeping track of it, now learning an app or deciding the app now becomes more steps before you can start tracking your leads. And what we want to do is once we're committed to follow up and, our cold process or warm, whatever it is, of our leads to grow the business with our clients, you want to start it as quickly as possible. And Excel obviously is a great start, but it's not a destination. There's no right or wrong. It's the one that will work for you. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes, even though I have these programs, I find myself still using Excel for certain parts of things that I do every day, just because it just works for what I'm up to. So meet yourself where you're at, start, and let it build. Instead of having hundreds of hours of past activities where you want to put in past leads, at least just start going forward. And then when you start going forward, what happens is that just add in 5 minutes, and then past leads and things that you have, continuously update it. Instead of making it like a big deal to build this system, just start. If you have 4 calls in one day or 4 calls in 1 week, whatever it is, or 10 calls or 1, it's all good. Just do it as it happens and build the engine. Okay? So we talked about a calendar, we talked about a CRM, and we talked about how it's going to integrate. Now, how does this save you money? When clients get to book on their own through their system, the appointments are working for you. Okay? CRM. How does that work for you, and how does that make you money? Because you're tracking what happened with a certain client or a lead, right? Because that's what happens. They're a lead until they're a client. And you're tracking what happened with them so that you understand where you left off. Nothing is worse than not knowing previous conversations that you had with somebody, and then they know, and then you feel stuttered. So knowing where you left off if they're in your email system, what they do. What I do before I work with a new client, I work with a new potential client, where I go on a discovery call, I look to see what we talked about before so that I have an idea and that I'm in the conversation. Because even though in some ways a lot of the stuff is built through automation in some ways, but there's still me behind it who built it and put the messages and is replying. So I reply to every single one. I put a lot of thought into what we do, and it's really, really important for me. The last one that I want to talk about is a accounting system. I actually spoke to a different client today, and she also was not in a bookkeeping system, with a accounting program. It was through Excel, and she was letting me know some of the shortfalls that was happening with her tax return. I don't want to say that in an accounting program it will not happen. It will limit them, and it won't happen to the degree of what happens in Excel. Excel is a start. What happens is that if you're audited, it's a huge red flag, and it's not a great place to be. So what you want to do is be in an accounting program. Now, sometimes you're in a DIY setting still and somebody else is not doing it for you. At that sense, I would probably tell you stay in Excel and not put yourself through the whole gamut of learning a program. But if you could take it on with somebody, hopefully my firm, it's more ideal. But if you're going to learn it yourself, you're going to need to dedicate time on the daily. And I mean on the daily because a lot of you are accepting payments daily, and these things need to be tracked properly. And what I've noticed is a lot of mental health business owners is that they do have accounts receivable. I actually have some clients now that they don't, which is great. They actually built a system because we increased the onboarding process, meaning that we elevated it and curated it in a way that there is no accounts receivable. So you want to choose an accounting program that will support you no matter where you are on the journey. And what do I mean by that? Whether you're a solo practitioner moving into the group, you're hiring, we're all in some type of movement or transition. What I want you to know is that it can work with you. It's just you have to know the program well. Okay, so we talked about today 3 different areas of systems, and systems don't have to be complicated. It's not like we have to look at Google and, be like, well, what's the best system for a calendar? Just something is speaking to you, it's the right price, do it. A CRM is speaking to you and it's the right price, do it. Somebody else thinks it's better, great. But the one that spoke to you is the one that you're going to do. Awesome sauce. Just start. The goal is to put these 3 systems in place and then work from there. To close this, I actually want to add the last thing. Now, if clients are paying you by Zelle or they're paying you by Venmo, it's not a system, okay? I want to say that again. Zelle and Venmo is not a system. You want it to integrate with whatever program you're working. If we're setting you up with QuickBooks, you can use QuickBooks where we send them the invoice to pay, and then you work a system of where, you keep the private information. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you a personal story where I actually was in somebody's system and for a personal reason, and my card ended up mixed with somebody else, and then whatever. So you just, whatever happened, you can guess that. So what I want you to do is think about the system because it's private information that you're holding, and that's important. So that will then fund the business, which is your expenses and all of the other jazz that goes with that. Okay. So today's lesson is start with one system. Let me know how you're doing. I love that. Let me know any questions that you have. Tomorrow we have another live, and then Friday I'm doing a live Q&A in Zoom where we get to interact. Last week's was awesome sauce. They got to work with each other, and then I got my little 10 cents in and helped because I want to help. I love helping you. And it was really just a nice momentum. So I hope you enjoyed today. I look forward to talking to you more, and please continue to enjoy this training. Hi, Susan. Thanks for coming on.